Renaissance Foundation. This is the second for the year. Yes, we had one in January, so the book holds monthly. So the second one, I want to say thank you for to be here, and say thank you for taking time out to be a part of this book reading. So without further ado, I'll be your host for the day, or should I say your anchor for the day. My name is Oladimeji, and I want to say thank you for coming. So welcome. Very briefly, I think we can do a little exercise of meeting each other, of knowing one another. I think we just unmute yourself and introduce yourself a little. Just say, my name is so the format will be just tell us your name and tell us where you're joining from. For instance, my name is Oladimeji. I'm joining from Ile-Ife of Afemalo University. Thank you. So I'm moving to Mr. Bid Ehiogu. Kindly unmute. You can just show us your face a little and introduce yourself. Mr. Bid Ehiogu. Tell us your name and probably show your face and tell us where you're joining from.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
With the audio is kind of static, breaking. While you try to figure that out, let's move to the next person. All right, so Adedayo, I hope I pronounced that right too. Adedayo, kindly introduce yourself. You just tell us your name and where you're joining from. Okay. All right, let's move to Oluwakemi Makinde. That's the name showing here. Oluwakemi Makinde. Kindly unmute and introduce yourself. For others, immediately you're able to pick the sound or you're able to introduce yourself, just signify I'll call you. Once again, I'll call you back.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Afternoon. Yeah.
My name is Oluwakemi Makinde, and I'm tuning in from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. We can see you're really glad. Your picture is really showing that beautiful smile. Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Oh, at the end, you says where is very busy. It's very noisy. So you can understand. Thank you for. You could just type into the chat. But okay, yeah. Atenyo is joining from Abuja. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Virginia Abbey. Kindly introduce yourself. Virginia Abbey.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Where I am is noisy. I'm at work at the hospital. I'm joining from Makurdi, Benue State. Thank you very much. Glad to.
Oh, thank you. It's really beautiful to meet you. Thank you for joining, even while at work. We hope, we are sure you'd actually enjoy yourself. Thank you so much. Nice meeting you. The next person I'm calling is, Hassan Sulaiman. Hassan Sulaiman. Kindly introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I am Hassan Sulaiman. I am joining from Ibadan in Oyo State.
Wow, Ibadan, the city of the brown roasted roofs. Thank you for joining, Mr. Hassan.
Thank you very much.
Hope you actually enjoy your day. The next person to introduce he or herself is Lois Kinde. Lois Kinde, kindly unmute and introduce yourself.
Okay, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Lois Kinde. I'm joining from Ikeja, Lagos.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. We are happy to see your face. Others have been hiding their faces. We don't know why, but at least you are not stingy with yours. Thank you so much, for. We hope we'll all have a nice time together. Next.
My name is Muyiwa Joseph. I'm joining from Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Muyiwa Joseph from Jos, Plateau State. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Of course, we have an account with the name OO. So if you are OO, kindly introduce yourself. Sorry, I didn't come with my extraterrestrial powers to be able to dissect what OO means, but I'll bring it next month. Come around. So please, but for today, help us by introducing yourself, OO.
Not a problem at all. I call myself Double O, like 007.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Olabisi. I'm joining from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates.
Oh,
nice to meet you all.
Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you, Madam 007. We're happy to have you all the way from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's really beautiful. You even have a very sharp voice. Maybe you should do this hosting next month. All right. While we were doing the introduction, we had someone coming, but then of course we would still get to meet him later. I think the next person I want to call is the chief host. That is the chief host for today, Mr. Babatunde Oladele. Can you introduce yourself very briefly to us? And of course, show us your face.
Okay.
Very handsome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see us this Sunday afternoon. My name is Babatunde Oladele. I'm the executive director for Literary Renaissance Foundation. I'm joining in from the Lekki axis of Lagos. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you very much, sir. Yeah, aha, yes, I see your face.
Okay,
yes,
man.
it's a very handsome man. Yes.
Okay, now.
Okay, so you're welcome, sir. We're happy to have you here. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming. And of course, we have one more person here, but then I've been told to, her name is, she's the ED of the Literary Renaissance Foundation. That's Mrs. Omache Oti. Of course, just type in the chat section. I heard she's having challenges with her voice. So just type in the chat section where she's joining us from. So while we're introducing ourselves, the author who will be doing the reading for today came in, but before we introduce him, we're going to invite the executive director of the Literary Renaissance Foundation to tell us a brief about the foundation, and after which we would meet the author. Mr. B will read the profile of the author to us, and we'll go straight into the book reading. So over to you, Mr. Babatunde. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimeji. Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to present Nigeria's Literary Renaissance Foundation to us. It's a foundation that was started in 2016 as our response to what we call the devaluation of intelligence in Nigeria. We observed that, in the modern day Nigeria, entertainment seems to be the what trends. I mean, musician, artists trend more than authors. it wasn't like that before. I mean, gone are those days when the likes of Wole Soyinka, Chinua Achebe, and writers and literary icons were the models that people look forward to, that they look forward to hearing from them, they look forward to hearing their views about contemporary issues in the country. But over the years, our values kept dropping, and we were now celebrating the artists, things that don't really stimulate the intellect over things that are able to enhance our personality and enhance our soul and make us better persons. So we felt we should be able to do something about this. So a couple of us, or maybe a number of us, started talking, and then we decided to form the foundation. The foundation actually stemmed from a content writing and editorial agency in Nigeria, the Red Writers Consult, because we operate in the knowledge industry. We felt okay, we should be able to give back to the society by promoting a literary culture or reigniting it, because it used to be there, only that is no more there. And then we felt okay, what can we do to reignite this culture? And so we started. We consulted our lawyer, and then we wanted to name it Nigeria Rates, but unfortunately, that name had been registered at the CAC. So after a number of filings and rejection, they eventually approved Nigeria Literary Renaissance for us. And for those of us who are in the field of literature, we know that the word Renaissance means revival. It was a term that became really prominent. I mean, I think in the what I call it the Middle Age, there was a time that okay, there was this vibrant culture, and it was during that period that somebody like William Shakespeare was born, John Milton. I mean, so people uh, born around that time, they had that unusual inclination for literature and then for writing, for dramatization and all that. So we felt, okay, let's see what we can do to birth a renaissance in Nigeria. So we registered the foundation, and one of our focus areas, we've been visiting schools. Apart from looking further, we started holding a virtual reading every month. We've been visiting schools to go and talk to pupils, because we felt we should catch them young if we want to revive or even foster a reading culture in the country. Let's start from the children, the pupils, because they are still malleable. They can easily be influenced and formed to go the right way, the way of literature, the way of learning, the way of intellectual stimulation. So we've been going to schools in Lagos to go and talk to these children about the need for them to read, to make reading an integral part of the day-to-day activities. We've done that both on the mainland and island. Um, then we intended to do a number of competition around reading, around writing, but COVID actually still mated our moves since last year. So it took us some time. I said, let's just even start to do a virtual reading, because after the initial shock, everybody was still trying to grapple with what needed to be done. How do we make a sense of this whole mess, and how do we forge on? I mean, going from here. The board of trustees met, and they would say, okay, let's do two things. While in the course of the pandemic, the first thing was to start doing this monthly reading, and the second was to constitute or to develop a virtual library. I mean, or reading club. Sorry, reading clubs. So we've started with the virtual reading, and incidentally, our very first reader is the person of Uzodinma Iweala. He's a multi-award-winning author, the author of Beasts of No Nation, which he came to read to us here, and we all had fun that day. And after that, we've had a 19-year-old, very vibrant young poet. I think I mean, she read to us. I mean, and we were all captivated. I mean, hearing this 19-year-old lady who is a vet med student at University of Ilorin, I mean, also reading to us. And here today we have another accomplished individual in the person of Adedayo Omotunde coming to read to us from his book Intrapreneur. Now, Uzodinma is a doctor, medical doctor, though who forayed into literature and then he's just found this place that he's been practicing. Now we have another doctor of animals, also who's an author, a poet, reading to us. And today we're having a business executive reading to us. So we see that it's not even about the core literature people themselves. It's about those who have authored maybe a book or more than one books, and then they know what they want in life. They are doing their thing, and they still found time to be able to author a book. And so it's not just about literature alone, or graduate of English, graduate of literature, but as far as somebody, as the person has written a book, and the book is well written, we want them to come and read to us from their books, and we want to use this as our own little way to encourage a reading culture in the land and amongst our people. So I hope I didn't overtalk my uh, my stay. So I will hand over back to the MC. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. That was really comprehensive, and of course, I'm sure people who listened, everyone who listened, some would have also seen how they can also break down. Really, you can partner with Literary Renaissance Foundation for this book readings. If you want to know how, just go into the chat section and reach out to Mr. Babatunde Oladile. Yes, without further ado, want to meet the author, and we have prepared someone with a very beautiful accent. I'm always jealous in his accent. I wish I could speak like that, but then it's okay. I'm okay with my Euro English, diction or accent. So I want to welcome Mr. Bede Ihiogu to read the citation of the author. Thank you, Mr. Bede. Over to you.
Hello.
Hey, hello, Mr. Bede. Yeah, hello, Mr. Bede.
Yes, no, it seems when Mr. Oladimeji comes on here, my network goes out. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I think he's having network issue at his side there.
Oh, okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
I hear you now. Please proceed.
Yeah. I said whenever Mr. Oladimeji comes on, my network goes out. I don't know.
It's the Ife spirit.
All right. Okay. So, can you?
Okay. So if I can be heard, I can just go on with the citation.
Yes, please.
Please go ahead. We are waiting for you.
He has an executive MBA from OAU, a telecoms MBA from the University of Derby, an MSc from Swiss Business School, and strategic management training from the University of San Diego. He also has executive education from MIT and several professional certifications. Dai has worked with 3 Fortune 500 companies and has over 15 years of experience in telecoms. He has consulted for clients in 16 countries. A major milestone in his professional career was his successful deployment of a fintech platform for a telco client with a presence across the Middle East and Africa. During 2019, the total value of processed transactions on the fintech platform surpassed $56 billion. He is a published author and has successfully established several startup businesses in the hospitality, agriculture, real estate, and IT industries. Dayo, a devoted Christian, is married and has two lovely children. Welcoming him.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Beat. We actually have a hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Dimeji. Please go ahead.
All right, okay, good. So from the book reading, from the citation rather, we could see that we have on our hands a big fish. Let me use we have a big fish on our hands, and I want to say, without any delay, let's welcome the author for the day, Mr. Adedayo Omotunde, for him to read from his book, The Intrapreneurs. Mr. Adedayo Omotunde, over to you, sir.
Hello and good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, sir. Good evening to you today.
I believe you can see my screen.
Yes, both your screen and your face.
Excellent. So I want to start by thanking Mr. Babatunde for organizing this and inviting me. I also want to thank the MC who has done an excellent job so far. Also, I want to thank Mr. Bide for the introduction. So I thought if I have a copy of the book here with me, but it's probably going to be boring if I cover my face at night, just to summarize the key messages of the book. I want to thank everyone that we have on the call today for creating time to be part of this event. So I believe Mr. Bide already did a very good job. He introduced me along the line when he was about to mention that I'm married and have two daughters. The connection was quite poor, so I'm re-emphasizing that part, that I'm married and I have two daughters, so we can move on. The key question I have for everyone, if you don't mind, please just type your response in the chat board. The question I have is, how many people here have at least one brilliant idea, and the reason why you've not started pursuing the idea is because you're waiting for investment funds? Can we have those responses, please? Just type in the chat box. If there's anyone here that has a very good business idea, and the only reason why you've not started it, or the only reason why you've not started pursuing it, is because you're waiting to raise the investment fund. So we have one respondent so far. You never can tell. It could be that someone actually has some money to invest and is looking for.
You have three people. I mean, now they're coming out. You know.
Yes, but the key point is that we all dream. We all have brilliant ideas. And thanks for everyone that has written. The MC wants to write his name 8 times. Okay. Why limit to 8? You can go a bit further. So everyone has an idea. Everyone has some big dream that we want to pursue. And oftentimes, what stops us from pursuing those dreams, oftentimes, it's not the only reason, but sometimes it could be ability to attract the required investment fund. Okay, so I have a story here of someone, just like you and I, who had a big dream. So sometime around 2008, 2009, she quit her job because she got a brilliant idea, which was to lay a subsea fiber cable that will connect West Africa to super fast broadband internet access. And then the price tag of her dream and ambition was $240 million. That's $250 million US. She developed a business plan, put it together, socialized it with amongst institutional investors, and they rallied together and funded her dreams. And just 3-4 years after the launch, she was already receiving accolades across Africa. Her business was celebrated, received Pan-African awards. She, as an individual, she received All African Businesswoman of the Year award, year 2012. And within, shall we say, within 4 years, her dream had catapulted her from being just an employee to becoming someone who had become an employee of labor, someone who was collecting awards all over the region. And therefore, one can easily conclude that the world belongs to those who believe in the reality of their dreams. And what I've said, I'm sure this is not an unusual story. There are things that people have, motivational speakers would have said several times to people. But then, that is just one side of the story. It's not showing you the other side of the story. The other side of the story, which I have completely removed from this, what you may call a pep talk, is that in reality, this person was not just a dreamer. She had studied in OAU, Nigeria, had master's degree from in USA from Columbia University. She had up to 20 years experience in North America. She had climbed to the position of being an executive director in Verizon, USA. And then when she returned to Nigeria, she became the CTO of MTN Nigeria. After that stint, she became the Chief Operating Officer of Nitel, before Nitel was sold. So people didn't just rush to give her $240 million to play with because she had an idea. They gave it to her because of her profile, if I can summarize it that way, right? And therefore, I come to a conclusion that smart investors invest in people, not in ideas. Anyone can have an idea. In fact, if you have an idea and you go online to research that idea and no other person has written about that idea, it's probably a very bad idea. So the issue is not about having an idea. The issue is about being able to execute that idea profitably, which is the basis of investment. So I'm chronicling this, and I'm giving this example to underpin the critical points that are raised in the book. That rather than people getting super excited about their ideas, which is exactly what a typical entrepreneur will pitch to potential investors, people need to realize that the smart investor is not swayed by the idea, because ideas are a dime a dozen. They actually go, they lift the lead and then they go on there and check. Does this person have the right level of education? Does this related education, it doesn't mean the person has to have gone to university or something, that doesn't matter, but are you skilled and trained in the areas that matter the most? Do you have the networks? So have you worked in the industry? Do you know the right people? Can you make the right calls to make things happen? Do you have the right experience in this area that you want to go into? And then ultimately, do you have the right level of exposure? So you come to someone with a $240 million dream, an idea, but you've never even touched 1 million naira before, but you want the person to invest in an idea that is worth $250 million. So you don't have the right level of exposure to actually handle what you're asking for. And therefore, smart investors will avoid such people. Whereas, if someone else walks to that same investor, assuming Elon Musk walked in, or Aliko Dangote walked into that same person and says, sell your house, I have an idea, and I can guarantee you I'll turn your money into 300% yield in 3 years, you'll probably listen and sell that house. So the point is not just the idea, it is who is actually behind the idea. And the concept of the book is to show people that if the ultimate goal is to set up something worthwhile, I'm not talking about a corner shop, I'm talking about setting up an organization that is going to influence and shape the industry that you are focusing on in one way or the other. Then you need to build this. You need to build capacity. You need to build networks. You need to build influence in the industry that you want to actually go in and affect. Does everyone need to invest 20 years and go to America? Of course, the answer is no. It could be 4 years, 5 years of working in a particular industry, but you need to know the right people. You need to at least be able to make a few calls to get things moving if things get stuck, which means you know the right people and the right people know you. So that is the core message of the book. Any questions so far, or we can go to the next level?
Please proceed, sir.
Okay, so having laid that premise, you may then ask, okay, fine, I get it. I'm not just going to focus on the idea. I want to build this underlying layer. It's like a tip of the iceberg. The core part is underneath. 90% of it is actually under sea. So now you're employed, good. But when you're in that role in your organization, you also need to work strategically. So a lot of people, yes, you agree with the point. I can't just be a novice, come out from school. I don't have any experience in the industry, and then I start making noise, throwing all the buzzwords. I want to disrupt an industry that you don't know anything about. It doesn't mean what are even the pain points of the industry. You don't know what is the friction industry. You don't know. So how can you disrupt it? How can you solve a problem when you don't know the So yes, you understood, and then you're moving on. Oh yes, I'm working somewhere, thankfully, in an industry that I have big dreams for. But then the question again is, in that industry and in your employment right now, there are 3 types of people who are described in this schematic. Is it? Can you see the text, or it's too small?
I think we can see it now. The first slide was a bit tiny, but I think it's not looking.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No problem. So here, I'm just giving a typical meeting. You have a meeting. You have the visionaire and the entrepreneur who's going on and on about his ambition, strategic plans for the organization, and so on. And here you have, the entrepreneurial person who is already thinking, how can we extend this further? So the entrepreneur is thinking from ABC dimension, and the entrepreneur is thinking X, Y, Z. How can we combine this together to achieve something in line with the overall strategic direction that the organization wants to take? But then you have the third profile, who is the grunt. And for him, he's checking his clock and thinking, gosh, why am I here? I just put this humorously. I have an appointment with my barber. Why are these people delaying me? And so on and so forth. So the ultimate question we need to ask ourselves is, where do we fit in this? Are you where you are today? Are you part of the people shaping the vision? Are you part of the people actually using your knowledge and your expertise to actually help refine the vision and execute the vision? Or are you the third category that is just there filling space and collecting salary? Now, if you're in this category, no matter how many years you spend in that paid employment, you will never be able to attract, your profile is not attractive enough for people to actually say, I want to invest in this person going forward. So I put definitions, okay, the entrepreneurial person, the entrepreneurial, more like the business owner, and people at the higher level try to see, how they can create something, influencing the corporate vision and so on, depending on the size of the organization. And then you have the people that you call the intrapreneur. So they don't own the company, but they put on the hat of an entrepreneur while in paid employment. And then you have the final set of people who, as I described earlier, they are the grunt workers. They're just there. They do their routine job. Take this pencil, take it to the other messy room. They take it there. Okay, take the dustbin, take it there, and that's it. They don't really add value. They don't innovate. They don't go think outside the box to see how they can create additional value for the employer and so on. So those are the ones that I've described as grunts. And as you would see in the pyramid, you will have the entrepreneurial ones at the top, entrepreneurial there, and then the growth will always be at the bottom of the pyramid. So it's difficult for them to grow and to expand the network because they do the minimum required just to justify the salary. That's even if they do that. Some others, they don't even do that, except you put control mechanisms in place. They're the people that will close before they have agreed work hours. If you ask them to work remotely from home, they will not do anything until you call them 10 times before they pick the call, and so on and so forth. So the idea of the book is to make people realize that they cannot afford to be grunts if they want to have a career that will be significant. They have to either put on the hat of an entrepreneur or the entrepreneur, either way. That's the thing. And then I went further to then show step by step what people can do to transit from being grunt workforce, people that from a management standpoint, they just see them as, available hands. When I need something to get done, I delegate to this person. I don't really need any strategic inputs from them. I don't need their contributions. Just tell them what they need to do. Driver, take this to that place, and it gets it done. That's it. You're not asking them for insights and so on. So how do you change your positioning from being such a person in paid employment to becoming someone who actually is entrepreneurial, who is actually contributing and adding value? And when you do that, as I mentioned earlier, the box that you're taking is that in those years of paid employment, begin to see that your networks expand. The people's perception of such an individual changes from being someone who is just there filling space to someone who's actually an expert in this field, someone who they want to do business with, and so on. Their level of experience increases because they begin to climb within the organization. The owners of the business or management will begin to delegate more duties to them because they can see their work attitude. Three things are important: knowledge, skill, and attitude. But when your attitude is right, people are willing to coach and help you become better. So you see that all of a sudden, by just making up your mind that you don't want to be a grunt worker, you actually want to be someone who is adding value. You see that your level of experience begins to change because more things have been assigned to you. Your level of exposure also changes because as more things are assigned to you, you take on new responsibilities. You're brought to interface with higher management. You're taken to meetings with customers and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, you see that you grow within that environment. And that person, when eventually they decide to step out of paid employment to start their own thing, they already know all the right people in the industry. They already know, untapped markets that they can reach out to. And when they say, look, I need funds to start a business, people are rushing to actually invest in them because they've built that profile over time. So that is a summary of what this book is about, right? The Intrapreneur. So do you have questions or?
Okay. This is Thank you so much for this short but really thought-provoking, and enlightening read, or let me say summary, because that's not just reading, that's more like a summary of what the book is all about. So if you have any question, you could just raise your hand or indicate in the chat section so I can call you to ask a question. Any questions, please? Okay. Is someone speaking? You could just unmute and ask a question if you have a question. Okay. All right, already I'm getting comments in the comment section. I see so far so good by Silas Ajimijaye. I hope I pronounced that right. And at the end, you're small but reasonable. Okay. Okay. Mr. Silas Ajimijaye says, "Thank you, Mr. Adedayo Omotunde. This is very brilliant and uncommon in this climate." Yes, it's definitely not the aspire to aspire kind of thing. It's not. So this is very uncommon. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yes, you can keep the comments coming, but then we would like to hear from you. Oh, Miwa Joseph says so delicious. I think it must be. We must have the same. We must be kindred spirits because I like food. So delicious. All right. Let's see. I want to hear from you, really. What questions do you have about these idea called intrapreneur? And of course, about being the kind of person worth investing in. Let's ask questions around this.
So while we wait for people to share comments, I can tell you a few more stories. So that example I gave of Ms. Funke Okweke is one of the examples in the book. And another example I gave in the book, because there are different possible outcomes. So you have Funke Okweke, she had built her networks and everything. So when she said she needed $250 million, people rushed money to her and she created Meanwhile. Okay, that's one example. It could also be that while you are within employment, you come up with an idea that is so brilliant that your employer actually allocates resources and budgets to you to start something. So an example that we have in Nigeria, Mr. Louis, can you please mute? Yes, please, thank you. So our example we have is Michel Eligbe into Switch. So Mr. Eligbe actually started out in Telnet as a copper. And then he did his NYSC there. I think he left for 1 or 2 years, then came back. They hired him as a salesperson, business development. He worked for a few years. And then those days, I'm talking many years back, there was no online banking. You couldn't transfer money between banks and everything in Nigeria. So he came up with an idea that why don't we create a switch that will facilitate transactions amongst banks. Telnet, being an IT company, they were servicing MTN and all those companies then, they couldn't do it themselves. So Telnet, they reached out to banks and they formed a consortium. And when they formed the consortium, they took Michel, who was the visionary, and they made him the MD. And since then, till now, he's remained the MD. Just must have 1 or 2 years ago, Visa invested in what do you call it, InterSwitch, which is a company that they formed. And based on how much shares they bought and how much money Visa paid, putting it together, people valued InterSwitch at $1 billion. So InterSwitch, which has presence in East Africa as well as Nigeria, was someone's idea within Telnet. So when we say put on the hat of the entrepreneur, yes, that's your brilliant idea. Maybe you someday will leave your paid employment and start it, and people, you step out and people actually want to be partners with you. That's one route. Another route is that within that organization, you actually push the idea, they allocate resources to it, and they ask you to run it, which is what I've just given as an example, which is the InterSwitch example. So that's another scenario. And you can have, diverse routes, depending on what you want to. But the point is, this is a sure way of you building capacity, building your ability to run a business before starting out. Once again, I'm not talking about opening a bakery or 10,000 naira kind of business, but if you're talking about a real business that is going to move the industry and so on, you need to have gone through all the trainings and know the right people, the networks. You cannot overemphasize the need for that. And what we see oftentimes is that a lot of people, they go out for all this motivational material and so on. They just push you to jump out without adequate preparation. I'm not saying don't jump out at the right time, but while you're under a paid environment, you have to absolutely make the most of that time by building your networks, by stretching beyond your normal job description to actually innovate, to create additional value, so that people begin to know you and respect you as a subject matter expert in that particular domain, which I feel that a lot of us are missing. And those companies that you see valued, like Elon Musk and so on, that their valuation keeps climbing. It's because of the level of intellectual prowess behind it, strategic thinking, and the ability to get results. It's not just by prayer, fasting, or being ambitious. There's a lot of preparation that went into what these guys are doing. And that's why we're saying that if Nigerians can think this way, if Africans can think this way, you see that we build stronger businesses that will be, not just a small shop. They'll actually be regional players. Nothing stops us. Whatever you do in Nigeria, Cameroon is next door to us, and you have West Africa. So you can actually spread out to conquer both Central and Western Africa, as a Nigerian concern. But you need preparation. You need to have the right skills and so on and so forth. But I'll stop there. All these details are in the book, as well as tools, as I mentioned, tools that can be used to prepare. I think there's a anyway, when you get a hold of the book, you'll see it. Okay, yeah, this is it. So there's a pull-out sheet, with step by step what you have to do and so on and so forth. But I think we can stop it there.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Already, Bada Yusuf says, I really enjoyed the discourse with the little time I joined the readings. I'll be glad to get the book so that I can get the whole idea in the book. So before I go to my question, perhaps can you quickly just maybe tell us how to maybe get this book?
So depending on where you are on the part of the world, you can order it on Amazon.com. That's one. And then here you have all these other channels. So there's Robin Heights, which is a major book distributor. So if you reach out to them, they have it. And then if you want the one on Okada Book, you can download it from Okada Books. The audiobook version is also available. So there's an app created for audiobooks in Nigeria. So you can actually go there, and it's read with a Nigerian accent and so on, so people can relate. Yeah, so those are all the channels. And if you're still not satisfied with this, I'm sure if you reach out to the organizers of the event, they will somehow get across to me, so we can also make an arrangement. And the retail price, I think, is 2,500, something like that.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Of course, we've all been told how to get the book. If you can't go through all those other means, you could reach out to Mr. Babatunde Oladele. That's the executive director of LRF, and he would also be able to. There's an affiliate organization, so I think eventually we might also get to have it on Uwe, and then we can also download it from there, or buy it. So thank you very much. Silas Jimmy Jai raised hand. I think he wants to ask a question. So please. Silas, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, organizers. Thanks to LRF and all the wonderful people behind this program. I'm so excited, and I also thank the author Adedayo Omotunde for putting his thinking, crystallizing all these wonderful ideas and putting it into book form. We actually have a lot of brilliant Nigerians that are doing good things, but probably they lack the self-confidence or time, or to put these ideas together in book form. So for finding time from making money to actually writing this book for others to benefit from, I thank you so much, Mr. Omotunde. Thank you so much.
Thank
Now
you.
thank you so much. Now my question is for the intrapreneur, that is maybe I didn't get this for start a business, and say one or two things, because it's not everybody that is going to people, the organization they belong in. So I want you to say one or two things about being sustainable in that type of environment. And all that, someone also may even be whatever he or she is in any organization. I have a bright idea about how to change the face of baking or any of the other retail business or whatever. So though you are a tech person and we are grateful for what you are doing, but I want you to say something in that area too, so that probably some of your listeners will not be intimidated. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Silas Ajimijaye. Mr. Adedayo Omotunde, you're going to respond to all the questions at once because of our time. There is also a second question about if you have another book in the offing, if you have something else coming out. That's a question. Then a third question will be, what are the dynamics of approaching the hierarchy within a system? If you have an idea and you're not interested in branching out, what are the dynamics? How do you go about this? Because we all know sometimes people get to work in toxic workspaces. And so what can you advise? What are the dynamics of carrying that out? So with the two questions from Mr. Silas Ajimijaye, and those are 4 questions now. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Silas. I think your questions are quite interesting, very good questions. Thank you also for the question about if there's a sequel. And then the third question, dynamics of approaching management. So the dynamics of approaching management, I think it's a bit close to the second question that Mr. Silas raised. That if you're an entrepreneur, or how can you be one within an organization? And so let me start from that one. The typical businesses, so I'm not talking about government, because government is a bit tricky, at least in Nigeria. So, but a typical business ultimately wants performance. And if you start from the highest level, even if it's a small business, okay, last year, all we sold, total revenue for 1 year was 2 million naira. And then when you get into your setting goals for 2021, most likely you will set more ambitious goals to say, okay, if what we achieved last year was 2 million, whatever business, it could be a small business, this year, let's at least aim for 3 million or and so on. Or if your profit for the previous year was 30% margin, you may say this year, we want to increase our margin to 50%. Whatever those targets are, at least as an organization, you must have some growth plan. At the executive level, which means the owner of the business sets those ambitions and communicates it to the team. But the owner of business cannot by themselves, I'm even talking about a mid-sized business, cannot by themselves achieve this whole objectives. So they'll break out the strategic ambition into targets for their employees. So you can say, Mr. A, let's take bakery business. We're selling 100 loaves of bread towards Ikeja. We're selling 200 towards Ogudu. And then he says, last year, this year, I want you to increase the number of the delivery to Ikeja from 100 to 150 and Ogudu from 200 to 400. So he has given a task to that salesperson to find new markets or to find and convert non-users. So people that are not, they don't like your brand and so on. You need to understand why they don't like the brand. Is it that it's too big or the bread is too hard or whatever? And you anyhow find a way to appeal to that additional market segment that you are not already servicing. So now that salesperson has a target to meet. If someone in that sales team approaches the marketing person and says, boss, I know you have this target to move from 100 to 150, which means you are basically increasing your sales by 50%. And I see that when, as a team, we're not achieving this yet. And I know when you go towards senior management or the owner of the business, you have targets to meet and they will not be pleased with you. So I have explored, I have proactively explored. I went to supermarket ABC and tried to show them this bread that we sell and prove to them that these are the reasons why you should allow us to put our bread on the shelf and so on. And I try to broker a deal. And it goes to that marketing person to say, boss, this is what I've done. The marketing person, of course, will appreciate that effort because you've gone beyond. Let's assume it was the driver. Let's say he's the driver that normally delivers. But one day he delivered, and when he finished delivering, he stopped in other supermarkets that just opened and started promoting that bread to those supermarkets. That's not his job, but he proactively did it. And when he came back home, he went to the marketing person and says to the person, look, I spoke with XYZ supermarkets and they seem interested, but you need to approach them and write a proposal or whatever it is you need to do so that we can actually formalize this. The marketing person won't say, oh, Mr. Driver, you're such a useless person. Why would you do such a thing? Who asked you to do it? Of course not, because the salesperson has a target to meet and the driver has proactively found a way to help the person achieve that target. So coming to the question, an entrepreneur in an organization is someone, if you want to actually practice this within an organization, is to sit down, understand the targets that have been set within that organization, and look for your own areas of strength and passion beyond your job description, because you're being paid to do your job. So let's leave that on. So we assume you're doing your job here, fine. But over and above your normal job description, you look for other areas that you feel you can add value. Oh, I know someone somewhere, I have this network, and so on. And you use that to help the organization achieve additional results beyond what you're being paid for. And when you propose this within the organization, because the organization ultimately wants results, they will never say, why did you do that? They will always want to support you. And that's the whole core of the message, that an entrepreneur puts on the heart of a business owner, though you're working and you have your normal job description, but you think like the business owner, how can I grow this business? If you're being inefficient, how can we be more efficient? So it might not even be that your idea is to increase sales. It could be that there are internal inefficiencies. We're running diesel, we have a big mechano, and even when only 2 people are in the office, because that's the only generator we have, we need to turn it on and they work, and we're burning diesel. What if we can buy inverter and the solar panel, which will cost us a bit, but over a 1 year period, you realize that our operational costs will reduce. You can come with that idea. Maybe that idea, you saw it because you visited a friend's company And that's what they've done to optimize. So you come back to your organization and instill the idea to the organization, we're wasting money. This is how we can become more efficient. So the entrepreneur, you're not just coming there to do your job as defined and go back home with your salary. You're actually looking for how can I either help my organization increase in terms of revenue, which means sales, or reduce costs. So you become more cost efficient. And there are many ways that can be explored. I've articulated this in the book, so I don't want to go too far into that. So that's one way that one can actually become entrepreneurial within an organization. And then coming to, again, second point from Mr. Silas, which is this applicable in small businesses? Yes, it is applicable in small businesses. It's the same thinking. Today's world, as we can see, everything is being transformed. Thankfully, COVID came and even accelerated the digitization of everything that we see around us. Now, it then means that every organization needs to find, whether big or small, needs to find creative means of achieving their business objectives. So whether it's a 5-man company or 2-man company, you can always innovate. You can always come up with ideas of increasing sales and reducing costs. And an entrepreneur within that organization, whether it's a 5-man company or 5,000 staff, can always add value. Just look for where there are inefficiencies or new growth opportunities and find a way to combine them. So I hope I've answered that question. The other question from Mr. Babatunde is if there's a sequel. So yes, we're working on one. By God's grace, it should be ready early Q2. So April or May this year. And in the sequel, the question I'm trying to answer, which is a general problem that we have in Nigeria and across Africa, is that you have employers who will ask you the question, why should I allow anyone to become entrepreneurial in my organization? After all, when this guy becomes entrepreneurial, he learns everything, he builds his network, he can leave my organization and then become a competitor. So why should I allow anyone to do that in my organization? So I know that that concern is there, and that's how a lot of people think, particularly small companies. So I'm trying to show in the sequel examples of companies that have actually consciously imbibed this practice. Global companies are actually, investing money into this whole entrepreneurship concept because they see that that's the only way they can remain competitive. So I'm giving examples from a global dimension as well as Nigerian dimension. So we see that it's not just something that's for big companies. We're actually talking about small companies, small IT companies that started a few years back that we all know, and they've grown. How have they actually consciously introduced this concept of innovation, of entrepreneurship, and how has it helped them to achieve the results that they are achieving? So that's the question I'm trying to answer in the sequel. And then, as the owner of a business, if you're the owner of a business, what are the steps that you must take to actually promote entrepreneurship? So there are factors, 5 factors. I will not go into the details, but there are 5 factors based on scholarly research. I actually studied research on this topic. Almost 20 years of research on this topic is what I've actually gone through to come up with these 5 factors. So if those 5 factors are in an organization, would have created an environment that automatically promotes entrepreneurship. Now, the reward for you as the owner of the business is that you have Mr. A in your employment who is coming with an idea that can increase your profitability by 10%. You have Mr. B that is showing you an untapped market. You have Mr. C that is showing you new operational processes, how to improve, how to become more efficient. All of a sudden, the burden of being the thinker in the organization as a CEO is lifted off your shoulder. You're not the only person that is trying to find new ways of improving, how to make more money, how to grow business, and how to remain competitive. All of a sudden, this is delegated and it becomes a culture. Everyone is coming, everyone is innovating. And those are the examples you would see in companies that have grown, as small startups, university graduates, that have become global companies today. That is what they all do, because it's not possible for one person to actually, like the locomotive, drive the entire organization through its life course. It's not possible. You need support, you need reliable people. And this is a level of thinking that I believe entities in Africa require for them to actually become regional players and potentially go global players. So I'll stop there now.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for these wonderful answers. Already, I can see that Mr. Silas is happy with the answers. He wrote here that great questions and brilliant answers. Kudos. So thank you very much. And like we all, have here, we can get the book on Amazon. We can get it. We also contact Mr. Omotunde Oladile. And of course, you can get it on Okada Books. You can get it on, I've forgotten the other one you mentioned, but then, Amazon, Mr. Omotunde Oladile, Okada Books, I think those are enough. And of course, there's the audio version, which is also available on the audiobook platform, the common one in Nigeria. He didn't mention, but I feel we can always find that out. So thank you very much once again, Mr. Adedayo Omotunde, for taking time out to write this, and then to also come here and talk about it to us. We're really, really excited and enlightened. Yes, Taiwo Inyang says the questions and answers have brought home the point now. Many thanks. So thank you so much. Yes, I have a few announcements to make here, and the first one is that the next reading will be on Sunday, March 28th, this year, not next year. Yeah. March 28th, and of course we are still working on it. We're looking at bringing Mrs. Ibukwan to come and read from her book, The Girl Entrepreneurs. So we are still, working on that. And of course, we also want you to know that Mr. Adedayo Omotunde has a training. He is organizing a career upgrade training. And of course, I want to invite him to speak briefly to that. Mr. Adedayo Omotunde, I don't know if you can just talk a little bit about the career upgrade training you're organizing and how people can be a part of it. Thank you very briefly.
Thank you very much. I wasn't expecting that, but it's all good. So we also see that many people have stagnated in their career growth. So you have someone who has been on the same role maybe for 4 years, 5 years. You could have joined maybe a mid-sized or large structured organization, and then year 5 or to year 9, they're in the same role, earning the same salary. Maybe once in a while they get some salary increase, but they just stop there. And these individuals believe that they know enough about the business for them to actually climb to the next level, which is management. So such an individual, there are certain things that they know. My skills as an engineer, maybe I know how to write software codes and so on, are not the skills required for me to lead a team of programmers. Because we can all be programmers, but if I don't know how to blend the team, the strengths of the team and so on, we will not get results. So being a leader is totally different from being an individual contributor. So we want to show people what skills that they can actually learn that will help them to break from that level of being individual contributors to actually management level. So that's one dimension. And then another dimension is you have even younger people. First 2 years, they're lucky they found themselves working somewhere, and even in that organization, they're perceived as high potential. High potential people in structured organizations are people that, they came in, management has their eyes on them, so they'll give them some kind of executive fast track, that this person will expose them to trainings, will expose them to responsibilities and so on, that will make them mature very quickly and decline. But oftentimes, you also see that such people have what you can say, let me call it unknown unknowns. So you're young, there's so much expectation on you. People drag you into meetings, they expect you to, because everybody says you're brilliant, they expect you to be able to come with a solution to whatever they're discussing. Even though you don't have the experience, you don't know really whether you're committing the organization to a solution that will not work. So the training is to help such a person to actually realize how they can add value within the organization without quick, how to mature them, how to fast track them through the growth phase. So you have that dimension. The third dimension is that you also have people who are already management, but their management, for whatever reason, the truth is that they cannot really contribute to the strategic thinking. So what they do is they lord over people, you came late by 5 minutes, you're closing early. So they enforce whatever it is that I find as is what they enforce, but it can't really help raise the game to the next level for the organization. So we're saying, how can I actually help you as a manager? Everybody thinks you know a lot, but deep down, you know that when it comes to strategic issues, you can't actually help. When it comes to operational issues, optimization of processes, you actually don't know how to handle that. So how can we help you to realize that? So for this training, it's not just myself. We also have a brilliant facilitator from University of Concordia Business School, who will join in session. So we'll talk about Blue Ocean strategy, Six Sigma, business process improvement, stakeholder management, principle of dominant design, and also using business model canvas and business model U. So it will be a very interesting session. I'm actually looking forward to it. And last point, just as I was saying earlier, we're trying to answer the question for an employer. So as an employer as well, if you have your employees that are not trying to get promotion based on favoritism, based on politics, but instead they want to get the promotion or more duties based on the value they're adding, it is beneficial for you because you want someone who's actually solving a problem, you want someone who's actually initiating brilliant things within the organization. Those are people you want to reward. So if you send your people on training, they will all, you will benefit as an organization because they will come back empowered, they will be entrepreneurial in their mindset, and as a business, you're going to get profit off it. So that's a summary of the program. We are working towards launching and starting by middle of April. So I hope I've answered your questions, Mr. Oladimeji.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Thank you very much, sir. So we've all heard, and can you tell us perhaps your social media handles or way to just follow up on news about you?
Yeah, so let me share my screen.
Okay, we're okay.
Okay, so if you can see my screen, the name of the consulting company is Pavium Consulting. So on Facebook, see it as Pavium Consulting, Instagram as well, Pavium Consulting, as well as on LinkedIn.
All right.
Yes. As a person, personally, I am not so active on social media. So if you try to find me, you'll probably not see anything useful.
All right. Okay, but then if you want information about your next actions or whatever it is you have in the offering, if you follow Pavium Consulting, we'll be able to do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, Mrs. Omat already put these links on the chat section. So for everyone, if you want to follow up, you can do that by just saving that link or copying or clicking on it. This may be. All right. So thank you very much, sir, for coming. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I want us to do a very short exercise now. Can we all put on our videos so that we can take a group picture? No, COVID's got nothing on us. We can still take group pictures. Don't worry. All right, can we just switch on our videos very briefly? Just take a group picture while we invite Mr. Oh my God, some beautiful faces. Okay. Oh yeah. Mr. Salas is in space. I'm happy to see your face, sir. Oh, double O. Yeah. Yes. Mr. Bada, Ms. Victoria Harrison, Mr. Beat, Engineer, and V04. I had to know another James Bond person. All right. Okay, so yes, I can see Mrs. Solo, Miss Solo came marking this face. I'm trying to see. Let's take this picture now. Say cheese. All right. Okay, good. So, Mr. B, over to you to give a vote of thanks. In case you're wondering, the person behind that, he ran away again. Anyways, thank you all for showing your faces. We want to just do the vote of thanks now, and then we move on. So, Mr. B, over to you for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. Network's not been very kind to me today, so sorry about that. So I don't know. Mr. Adedayo, we also have obviously this team. We have this. We also have an online
bookstore,
book selling platform. We're quite novel, but we're hopefully if we apply some of the things that we've learned here today, will probably be within the next year, probably the most heard of book selling platform in the country. So since you're an author, we work in partnerships with authors. So it's something that we could actually work on in the nearest future. Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for today.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Okay, sir. Yes, so thank you so much. I did pay attention, and the part about the grunt thing, I don't think anybody wants to. Well, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I don't want to be a grunt. So definitely, if I were not tilting towards the intrapreneur angle before, I definitely would be giving it a thought now. So thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate it. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure lots of other people enjoyed it as well. So on behalf of the team, the Literary Foundation, the Literary Renaissance team, thank you so much, sir.
Right.
So, Mr. Oladimeji, sir, I think I'll hand over the yes.
Okay, so and of course to everyone who has been with us from the beginning and those who were going in and out, and all, we want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out to enjoy this moment with us, and of course to our very brilliant author and the reader for today, that's Mr. Adedayo Omotunde. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough because this concept you exposed us to is something we won't forget in a hurry. And it's something I'm sure many of us want to practice, outside this. Yes, and of course, Mr. Beat shows his face finally. All right, so I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to LRF, the Literary Renaissance Foundation. Last month it was an anthology. Yes, thank you. Rodia Adegoke. The first name is always tongue twisting for me. So it was Rodia Adegoke, and it was really, really awesome. We really didn't want to go. And of course, today, I'm not sure we want to go again, but then so that if we call you next week, you will come. Next month, you will come. So we are kind of moving to the end of the book reading now. And as a way to just ease us out of the program, I will be playing clips or sounds, from the book Intrapreneur. That's the one he read from. So I'll be handing over now to, as we go, and say bye-bye to the executive director of LRF, that's Mr. Omotunde Oladele. He's not just the executive director, he's also the DJ for the day. So
when you have this continuity in technology, it's an opportunity to actually innovate and to create wealth. Right?
All right, bye-bye, everyone.
Very simple concepts that can be easily understood and they're applied. So 3 things I just want to say, right, in a few minutes. Number 1, I will try to explain the principle of dominant design. I'll also try to give examples, 3 examples of how people have created value created wealth, prosperity, employment, increased the GDP of the nations by stimulating discontinuity or leveraging discontinuity. And then the final part will to